So, as we all know, Jojopyun is headed to Europe. He is going from the LCS over to the LEC for next season. We know he's also a guy who loves to trash talk, who loves to create content and controversy and stuff all over the place. And he has blessed us with an LEC tier list very recently on Twitter. In this video today, I wanted to go over that tier list, share it with you guys, and talk about some of the rosters and stuff overall, because obviously we are pretty much wrapping up the LEC offseason with almost every single roster being completely done. So it's that time now where we can start to come up with tier lists and power rankings and all that stuff of our own and start preparing for that 2025 season. With that being said, let's get right into this. So Jojopyun hits us with this. He tweeted this out. He's also been doing different tier lists and power rankings of the players on stream, like in the individual positions, stuff like that. So if this video goes well, if you guys enjoy this, we'll definitely go over some of those as well. But he starts off in the KC tier, which is absolutely hilarious, where he has none other than K Corp. Obviously, this is super funny. He has them as the bottom ranked team. He has them in their in like a tier of their own, a division of their own. And obviously, Jojopyun knows he is coming into Koi. This is a Spanish fan base. This is Ibai, all their fans who are going to go to war with the French fans, who are going to go to war with K Corp every single day, every single week. And starting out that trash talk before he's even over in Europe is obviously a banger. And his mentions are going to be exploded by Spanish fans. They already have been during the whole recruitment process, but his mentions are always going to be blown up by K Corp fans and French fans as well. And this first Koi versus K Corp matchup this season with Jojopyun against Vladdy and all this hype and excitement is going to be absolutely insane. The memes, the Twitter mentions, all that stuff is going to go crazy. JoJo's definitely going to continue trash talking KC the whole year. But what is interesting is this KC roster, what we think they're going to be in 2025, because this team is Kana, Yike, Vladdy, Kalista, and Targamas. And really, in my opinion, I have no idea where to put this KC team, because I really see them as potentially the most volatile roster in all of the LEC. There is literally question marks at every single position. For Kalista, is he going to come in and be as big of a monster as advertised? You also have Vladdy there as well, who's more young and inexperienced. We don't know how good exactly Vladdy and Kalista are going to be, how well they're going to develop. Yike, the big question obviously being how good is he going to be without G2, without Caps? Is he going to be as good as he's been in the LEC so far? Kana, is he a monster? Is he washed? Is he going to be this huge, beast importer? Is he going to be, taking up an import slot? And then there's question about Targamas, whether he even deserves to be in the LEC at all, from a lot of people. But also at the same time, all these players are very, very skilled individually and could pop off. And, hey, if everything goes bad, this team could be really, really bad, an absolute disaster, like bottom 3 team in the LEC, probably. But if it all goes well, KC could be going to World. So I think it's very crazy. I think it's super interesting to see what's going to happen with K Corp this year. But obviously, Jojopyun starting off that trash talk right off the bat with KC in that bottom tier. Then we get into his next tier, this C tier above KC tier, which has Rogue, Vitality, and Excel, which I guess is Giant X. And this tier is interesting because obviously we have Rogue, who they have one player on their roster right now in Larson. They haven't even finished their offseason. I don't even know, they've been trying to start their offseason, but until they actually sell that slot and figure out what's going on for the next year, their offseason is really, really up in the air. And we've heard things are maybe not going quite so well for Rogue as they take longer and longer to actually figure out what's going on for next year. Obviously, many players are already verbally agreeing to contracts for 2025. That's including ERL players. The ERL offseason is very, very advanced at this point as well. Lots of LCS teams are trying to round out their rosters. There's not a ton of players left, and it's also really hard to convince players from the LCS or from other regions or from even Korea Challenger or whatever to be like, hey, come over to this team where we're not going to have a huge budget and we don't even know what's going on for the future and all that stuff. So they're finding a really difficult position. They're finding themselves in a difficult position right now, but we don't even know what Rogue's roster is going to look like. So to put them anywhere, I think it's way too early, but definitely I think a lot of people are going to have Rogue trending towards the bottom, so that's not super, surprising to me. We do have Vitality, where their team is going to be this one here. Let me scroll down a little bit, where we have Nako, Linkus, Chayek, Karzi, and Hillisang, and obviously this roster I think to a lot of people isn't going to look that great. Some people will be more or less excited about that top side, the top jungle and mid. A lot of questions there. I think people expect them to not be too strong. If they can find, some development there. Karzi and Hillisang, they are what they are. Obviously, at their best, they can be a very strong bot lane. Sometimes they'll be middle of the pack. Sometimes they'll pop off. Who knows? But overall, this Team Vitality roster doesn't look that exciting, doesn't look that interesting. Obviously, it's going to be up to Karzi and Hillisang to really lead this team and help develop those players and help come up with a game plan for this team. But yeah, nothing too exciting there. I think most people do expect that'll kind of be a bottom tier team. And then obviously we have Excel, which is Giant X, which I don't know why he has them ranked so low. though. I'd maybe just kind of trash talking stuff like that, whatever. But this Giant X roster, I do think actually looks pretty interesting, obviously with Noah and June in that bot lane. But other than that, tons of question marks there. Again, the Giant X has another very, very volatile team. Giant X will only be good as their top side is. Lot and Jackie's inexperienced players. They have a lot to prove. Closer coming off what has not been the last 2 years. He hasn't been that great or that impressive when we've seen him. So he needs to kind of rebound and revitalize his career. Giant X at their best, again, could be going to Worlds. At their worst, could definitely be a middle of the pack to lower tier team. So that'll be interesting to see there. Obviously, Jojopyun, not so excited about the things that they pulled off. Jojopyun also put out this tier list like a week or so ago, I do believe. So some of the stuff isn't totally up to date. Maybe he didn't know all the rosters, but also maybe he had heard rumors or, many things getting finalized behind the scenes and all that. And obviously this tier list is somewhat of a meme and him just kind of trash talking and stuff as well. So wanting to get some trash talk out to Giant X, which again will be another very, very popular team this year that's going to be filled with rivalries and trash talk and all that stuff. Then we get into Jojopyun's B tier, which is just filled with a lot of these teams in the middle. He has Heretics, Fnatic, BDS, and SK. So we can talk about some of those rosters real quick. Obviously, Fnatic fans might be a little bit upset after all the finals and all the competition with G2 and stuff last year. I'm sure they feel like they should be a little bit higher up. And Fnatic had an interesting offseason. Obviously, they did lose Noah in June, but they replaced them with Upset and Mickey, which should be very, very strong and competent bot lane in the LEC. So, hey, Fnatic probably deserves to be a little bit higher up than this. But, yeah, in this kind of tier here, we do have Heretics with Carlson, Shio, Kamilu, Flocket, and Stend, which, again, that doesn't seem like that exciting of a roster to me. There's definitely some exciting parts. Really interested to see how Kamilu's going to come in and be. I think Shio is very, very, sought after player this offseason, but Carlson, Flockhead, Stend, I think there's some big question mark here to see how good they're going to be. So I'm a little bit surprised to see Jojopyun have that team up in the B tier. I probably would have slid them down to like C tier or something. It's funny that they're in the same tier as Fnatic. Like I said with Fnatic, Oscar, Razor, Humanoid, the same players that had all the success last year. And yeah, they're coming short of Fnatic fans' expectations, but they're still a really, really strong team. And with Upset and Mickey, maybe they'll be a little bit better. Maybe they'll be a little bit worse. I don't know. They're great players. Are they going to slot in and make this team better or worse? We'll have to wait and see. Are their playstyles going to mesh up well together in the bot lane? Are they going to pop off and go crazy? We have BDS and then SK as well, which again, SK, on paper, this roster doesn't look that crazy to me. So again, to have this roster ahead of like Giant X is a little bit head scratching to me. We have Gen X, Isma, Reeker, which seems like a pretty weak topside overall comparing it to some of the other top sides in the LEC. I know this bot lane of Rahel and Loopy could be really, really interesting and exciting if they are able to, synergize well together and work with this SK team. They could actually have a very, very strong bot lane. But there's lots of really strong bot lanes in the LEC this year, I do feel like. So that might not necessarily even be a place that SK will be able to stand out strongly, but a lot of question marks about everywhere else. Reeker coming in to replace Niski, that could work out good, could work out bad. I think Gen X is definitely, I think most people expect to be a downgrade over Irrelevant. And then Isma, he's a fine player. Is he expected to be one of the best junglers in the LEC this season? By no means. So this SK team, a little bit iffy. And then same thing with BDS. Huge pickup for them getting Irrelevant. I think a lot of people are pretty excited about Nuke. You have Ice and Peruse, which is cool, but 113 being that giant question mark in the jungle is what's going to be interesting there. I think BDS have a pretty nice roster altogether, but I think they're going to be like upper middle of the pack. I don't expect them to like go to World or do anything crazy. I think kind of B tier is fine for this BDS team. So kind of, SK and Heretics are a little bit of a head scratcher. I think he has Giant X probably a little bit too low, but whatever. Let's get into JoJo's A tier now, where he has G2, and it's just G2. Obviously G2 in a league of their own in the LEC, coming off what was a pretty crazy 2024. Obviously Worlds didn't necessarily go their way, but they did get a really, really tough draw. I know a lot of people thought, it wasn't fair and the Swiss system kind of screwed them over, whatever. But a lot of question marks about G2 coming into 2025 now, where they had this crazy offseason of getting rid of Yike, getting rid of Mickey, bringing in Skewmon, bringing in Lebrov. How insane of a lane is Hans and Lebrov going to be? Is Lebrov going to be an upgrade from Mickey, a side grade, a downgrade, and then also bring in Skewmon over Yike. I know Skewmon is a really high prospect, but Yike was also a very, very good jungler. Now, maybe he had some shortcomings internationally. Maybe he wasn't able to take them to the level they wanted to be, but that doesn't mean Skewmon will be able to do that either. So obviously I don't know what's going on there. We'll have to wait and see, but G2, I think definitely is going to clearly be the favorites in the LEC in 2025 until somebody dethrones them. But JoJo sees things otherwise. Obviously, we have the S tier with just one team remaining. He's going with Mad Lions Koi in that top spot. Obviously, they are just going to be Koi next year. And this is obviously JoJo's team, so he's got himself at the top. He's got K-Corp on the bottom. Here is how he sees things going into 2025. We can look at Koi's team for next year real quick. Obviously, they are bringing back 4 players in Merwin, Elyoya, Supa, and Alvaro, and then bringing in Jojopyun into the mid lane. Obviously, I do think that a lot of people saw Frescowy as kind of that weak link on Koi last year, or Mad Lions Koi or whatever, especially as they got internationally, especially, you know, down the stretch when they didn't have that strong of spring and summer splits and stuff like that. Jojopyun, coming off what was not necessarily his best individual season in 2024, but obviously at his peak, he can be an MVP level and MVP caliber player, and if he comes in and it plays at an MVP level, paired up with Elyoya, paired up with Supa and Alvaro, like this team could be very, very scary good. And this team, I think, has the possibilities, if they all click, to definitely rival the Fnatics and the G2s and really compete for championships. I think the LEC as a whole looks pretty interesting for next season. I think K-Corp and Giant X look strong. I think BDS could be good. I do think that Koi, G2, and Fnatic will all be strong. I think the LEC is looking really, really fun. But yeah, overall, here is what Jojopyun had as his LEC tier list coming into next season. I love that. I love when players make content and trash talk and do all these things. Like I said, he's also been rating all the players individually, so maybe we'll cover those in future videos. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, this is Jojopyun's rankings for the 2025 LEC season. We'll have to see how much of this comes true and how much of a predictor or analyst Jojopyun is. But he's definitely one that's always going to be trash talking, always going to be trying to make content. He's going to make friends. He's going to make enemies. He's going to make fans. But ultimately, at the end of the day, his play is going to speak for itself. And if he comes in and pops off, people are going to love him. And if he comes in and doesn't do so hot, he's going to get memed into oblivion. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Until then, peace. Everything we are doing here at Sheep Esports for the rest of 2024 is powered by Holy. This is an awesome company that makes great tasting energy drinks that also just so happen to be healthier than the competition as well. They sent me this starter set deluxe, which comes with a Holy shaker and then 14 individual servings of Holy Energy, Holy Hydration, and Holy Iced Tea. So you get a ton of awesome stuff for a great price. And if you want to get even better price, check out the first link in the description below. Use discount code SE5 to get €5 off your first order, or SE10 to get 10% off your entire basket. If you guys want to help continue to allow us to provide the amazing coverage of both Worlds and the offseason that you guys know and love, definitely check out Holy, buy some stuff. It would mean the world to us. Thanks.